Hi, this is a demo walkthrough on how to create an Alexa skill with the Lambda Amazon service. So this is part of CIS371 at Grand Valley State University. We're going to follow this little demo by first logging into AWS, Amazon.com, developer.amazon.com, and then following through on some code that we have on GitHub. So let's get started. We'll start by logging in to these key websites. So AWS, Amazon Web Services. Let's go ahead and log in. In the set of the services, we're going to use Lambda. Yours might be somewhere in the middle. Just do Control F to look for it. Once you used it once, it'll be under recently visited services. Next, we're going to go to developer.amazon.com, and so you need to log in, of course, and then select the Amazon Alexa applications, and from here we'll go ahead and go to the dashboard, which here at the very top allows me to select skills. We can then possibly view empty screen or any of the skills that are already created. So let's get started. We'll say add a new skill. This particular skill is going to be what's called a fact skill. It's going to be about Vikings and about computers. So when we ask Alexa for a specific story, it's going to give us back a little story about Vikings and computers. All right, let's get started. This is going to be a custom interaction model. So the first selection, and we'll call this computer Vikings. Under invocation name, let's go ahead and ask for computer Vikings. Now this is plural computer Vikings, so we'll say things like open computer Vikings or ask computer Vikings to tell me a story. All right, further down, all these answers can be set to no. We'll go ahead and press save. So our progress on the left here shows that we are at skill information. If we were to look at the GitHub code, skill information is listed at the very bottom, and as a picture it basically shows us that we type in here invocation name, and we then provide a name for the skill. If you would like to preview this skill already running, it's called Computer Storified in Vikings History by Floki, and so you can preview how it works when it is completed. So that's the first step. We're logging to both. Let's go ahead and continue our creation of the skill. Interaction model is next. In the interaction model, we have to provide the intent schema as well as sample utterances. Now, in this instance, we're going to go ahead and use the GitHub code. We will grab the intent schema, which basically is a subset of the English language that we are going to have Alexa pay attention to. So we are going to design code which will go into these specific intents. These intents basically make Alexa smarter, help her to interact with the end user. So let's go ahead and put the intents here. And next, let's go ahead and navigate to the next piece of code with the sample utterances. We'll just go ahead and copy that. This is the many ways out of the English language to address our intents. It's like a funnel. All right, let's go ahead and oops, I have it in the wrong place. Let's go ahead and put it under sample utterances. Next. All right. So now that we have the skills information, we have the interaction model, we are down now to what's called the endpoint, or pointer to our actual code. Now in the initial set of this skill, for simplicity, we're going to use a function that I have already completed. And so let's go ahead and copy that function and put it right in the AWS slot. Next, I'll show you how to actually create this function and how to work with it. But for now, we'll just go ahead and put it right here. We do not use account linking. All of this is fine. We are ready now to say next. When you do develop functions for Alexa, make sure that you are in the US East 1 data center when you create the Lambda functions. Any other data center at this point, at least, is not going to be compatible with Alexa skills. All right, so let's go ahead and press next. At this point, our skill is ready to be tested. So we can go ahead and select the enable box. All right. Let's see. I see my interaction model still getting completed. So momentarily it is going to be done. And at that point, we will be able to start testing our skill. All right, so let's go ahead and select it. And we can say here something like, all right, open computer Vikings. And when we press the button, it's going to execute our function. And so it's making a request to the Lambda function through the JSON code we see. And then the response is going to specify what it is that Alexa needs to say. And so she will say something like, here is your computer Viking bit. Let's just see, here's your Viking bit. In the medieval times, technology of Viking ships created a new job, the Viking raider. And so it'll continue that. Now we could test this already by going to the echoism and then holding the button, speaking to the speaker. You have to be logged into the system at the same time on the same account as the account that's creating the skill. So let's go ahead and test our skill at this point. We could go ahead and just type in something like open computer Vikings, and as we type it in, the request is made, and then the response in what actually Alexa would speak is right here. Here is your Viking bit. And what does it say? It says stewardess is the longest word you can say with one hand on the modern keyboard. All right, and so somehow then we tie it to Viking runes. This is one way to test your skill. Of course, a final test would be using one of the Echo speakers devices that operate the service. But the new test simulator is also available already. We'll go ahead and enter that. And within the new simulator, we have a few more options. We have some Echo show screens. So let's go ahead and try to open the skill in this interface.
Here's your computer Viking bit. The first electronic computer ENIAC weighed more than 27 tons and took up 1,800 square feet. The largest Viking ship found was in Ruskala, Denmark. This cargo ship was 121 feet long. It could carry 24 tons of load, and at 3 feet of draft it had the sail measuring 2,175 square feet. The sail was as big as ENIAC, and the ship could almost sail with the computer on board without sinking. To hear all computer bits say, Alexa, ask Floki for full saga.
All right, so that's a great way to test our skills, and of course we can take advantage of similar display as in the older version. Okay, so at this point we have a working skill on Amazon. You can further confirm that things are working okay by logging into alexa.amazon.com. This is going to be an interface that allows you to select the skills that you would like to have enabled on your account, but also gives you some visual display of the skills that are currently running. So if I was to navigate to skills, as a developer, I have your skills box at the very top right, and here I have um, a way to basically see the skills, the development skills, which are not published. They are simply in development state. So this is the one we're working right now, Computer Vikings. And so you can verify that it is listed here. Therefore, it'll be available for testing. Okay, step 2. Now that we have an Alexa skill running and the skill here under skill information, under configuration is pointing to a Lambda function which I own. I'm sharing the URL with you so that you can quickly get a skill working. Let's replace it with one that you can control. So we'll switch now to AWS. We'll go to Lambda. And in Lambda, functions is the code that allows Alexa to be intelligent to do certain things. Perhaps I can go ahead and create a new function. So let's go to create a new function. For this exercise, we're going to create the function from scratch. Let's go ahead and just call it my first Viking program. And this function can be Node.js 6. If it is the very first Lambda function you're working with, you may not have any roles. So let's go to custom role. This will pop up a new window. Make sure that your pop-up windows is enabled. We'll go ahead and select Lambda basic execution IAM role. If you do not have the IAM role, I'll have a link to a place where you can create the basic execution role. Let's go ahead and press allow. And at this point, we will have existing role and then select the Lambda basic execution role. And now we're ready to create function. Okay, at this point, the function is empty. We can see here that the directory name is the name of the function, and then index.js, it is empty code window. Okay, what we're going to do next is we're going to upload code into this function instead of copying and pasting it. Now this code can be downloaded from the GitHub repository. It is the zip file, lambda code.zip. This particular directory has two files in it, index.js and Alexa skill. So we'll go ahead and drop down from edit inline code or edit code inline. We'll go to upload zip file. At this point, we get to select the file. Let's go ahead and find the file that you've downloaded. We'll say open and we'll press save. And this is going to reload the window. Notice now we have an Alexa skill.js file as well as index.js. Now this index.js file does not verify the skill ID, which is okay for testing. This is how I was able to share my function with your skill that you are developing. In other words, in this window here, you have a specific skill with a skill ID, which is at the very top. So the best practice from Amazon is to make sure that a specific skill ID is required in order to execute a specific function in Lambda. Okay, for testing purposes, we're going to keep that a little bit more flexible. What the skill does is it has an array of Viking stories, and this array can randomly be called and we can ask Alexa to go ahead and tell us a specific story. Alternatively, we can say, Alexa, give me story number 5, and this will generate text from a specific element of the array. And so the code for that is below here. Let's go ahead and keep keep the code as is. We'll go ahead and accept it. What we need to do though is we need to select Alexa Skills Kit as a source, as a trigger for this function. All right, to do that, skill verification comes up here, and we have an option of either putting our own skill here. You can go ahead and copy the very skill ID that we created earlier and then put it in this window and then press add. This now certifies this trigger, and we will press save to make sure that this gets saved. So now this Lambda is going to talk with the Alexa Skills Kit, and it will go ahead and connect with the skill we're developing. So the last thing we have to do is we need to grab our Lambda address. Let's grab that, the ARN address, and we need to put that into the Alexa skill itself. All right, so let's go ahead and press save on that. And at this point, our new skill is talking to our new function. One more thing I want to share with you, and that is you can actually do a little bit of testing, not just inside of the developer.amazon.com. Recall here that we can say something like open computer Vikings, and when we do that, our function is being tested. We actually are making call already to our custom function, so this part works. But if you want to verify and test the syntax or the code of the Lambda function itself, there's a little trick that you can use for that, and that is if you press the test button at the top, you have to then select the Alexa start session, and with the start session you are creating a test event. Let's call that test, and this test event will be then at the top of the function, and when you press test, basically these green marks on the left tell me my syntax is fine, and when Alexa service actually calls this function, things should work. And so this at least gives me confidence that my code, this let's go back to the function, these files are in working order. All right,